Hey guys, I am Martin Klaja and this is the Astra Modulation Machine by Universal Audio. You heard this pedal on all the guitars in the song in the beginning of the video. So, what is the Astra Modulation Machine, I hear you ask? Well, this is Universal Audio's take or emulation of all the classic guitar modulation effects like chorus, flanger, tremolo and a lot more. But that's all gonna make a lot more sense when I plug a guitar into this and plug it into the amp and run you through all of the effects and all of the controls. So, hang on. Alright, so I hooked up my guitar. It's a Fender Strats Road 160 loaded with Green River pickups. Now before we get into the sounds themselves, I just want to mention something about the layout of knobs and switches on the pedal itself. As you can see, we have a speed, a depth, an intensity, a shade, a shape and a mode knob. You also have these little toggle switches. This one switches between the different modulation effects. We have a store switch and an A-B switch, and I will get back to those in a little while. Then you have your on-off switch, of course, and then this one, which is labeled preset, that also doubles as a tap tempo switch. Now all of these knobs here all have different functions according to which of the effects you have chosen out here. So right now we are in the chorus brigade mode, and that of course means that this is now a chorus pedal. So just for the good measurements, let's turn the effect off and listen to the dry signal. Alright, turning the pedal on. This is the chorus effect. Right, and when you are in the chorus mode, the only one of these three knobs up here that has any effect is the intensity. And if I turn one of the other knobs, you can see that this little red light is flashing. That is telling you that this knob does not have any function in this chorus brigade mode. So the intensity knob is the only one of these three knobs that has any effect, and this is the intensity of the chorus effect, and this is the range of the knob. Alright, for the bottom row of knobs, the only one that has any effect is the shade knob here, and that is an output level control. Finally, there is the mode knob, but the mode knob has mostly to do with running the pedal in a stereo configuration. All of these new Universal Audio pedals are all dual engine pedals, which means they are true stereo. They have two inputs and two outputs. But for this demo I will be running them in mono alone, so the mode switch isn't really that relevant for this demo. Alright, still being in the chorus brigade mode, I'm going to flick this little switch from the A position to the B position, and that puts the pedal into a vibrato effect mode. And this is the sound. So in this vibrato mode, the speed knob becomes an vibrato rate control, so you can control the rate or the speed of the vibrato. And as you can see, this red light is flashing according to the tempo. And that means that this switch is in tap tempo mode, so I can tap the tempo like this. Next up is the depth control, and that becomes a vibrato amount control. Yeah, and finally on the shade knob here we have the output level control. As you can tell, I'm actually able to slightly boost the amp when I crank up the output control. Alright, to go to the next effect, I am going to flick this little switch, and you can see that the light changes from chorus brigade to flanger or Doppler effect. And by putting this in the A position, I am in flanger mode, and this is the sound. Alright, the speed control is a speed control or a rate control for the flanger. And once again, I'm able to use this switch, the preset switch, as a tap tempo function. Right, going to the next knob, which is the depth control, that is the width of the flanger. Next up on the intensity knob we have a regen control. On the shade control we have a wet-dry mix control, and by putting it here in the noon position we will get the maximum flanger effect. Turning it down. And back in the noon position. On the shape control we have something called manual sweep, and that is an overall adjustment of the sound, and this is the range. Okay, flicking the small switch from the A position to the B position puts the pedal in Doppler mode, and this is the sound with the current settings. So the knobs in the Doppler position here have the same function as in the flanger mode. So we have a rate and a width and a regen or feedback control. And down here we have the wet-dry control. The shape is the manual sweep, an overall setting of the sound, and the invert function. So And once again, you can control the tempo or the rate with this tap tempo button. Next up is the Trem 65. Gonna flick the little toggle switch to go to that effect. And this is the sound with all of the switches at the noon position. Alright, in the Tremolo 65 position, we have the tremolo rate, the tremolo amount, and something called LFO shape, and that shapes the edges of the tremolo wave. Let me run through those controls. On the A-B switch here, we can choose between a sine wave and a square wave. And the A position is the sine wave, so let me put it in the B position, which is a square wave. Finally, down here we have an input drive control. Alright, so as you can see here, we have reached the bottom LED of effects, so you should think that that's it, there are no more effects inside the pedal, but that is not the case, because when you register your pedal on the Universal Audio website or on the app on your phone, then you will get two additional effects. One is a phase 90 and the other one is a Dharma Trem 61. To access those new effects, just flick this little switch down one more time and you can see that the LED turns green, and that means that you are in the additional effects section of the pedal. Now when you are in the phase 90 mode here of the pedal, the only two knobs that has any function is the speed, which is a rate control, and the shade down here, which is an input drive control. And finally, on the A-B switch, you get to choose between a script logo or a block logo phase 90 pedal. The current A position is the script logo. Flicking it to the block logo. And to access the last modulation effect, you flick the switch one more time and you go into the Dharma Trem 61 mode. The Dharma Trem 61 is a unique dynamically controlled harmonic tremolo, and this is the sound with the current setting. For the top row of knobs, we have a tremolo rate, a tremolo amount, and something called a crossover frequency. Let's check those out. Now the bottom row of knobs is where this particular effect becomes really interesting, because you can set up a second speed, and by turning the shape knob you have kind of like a threshold control, and the shape here is the setting for the second speed on the pedal, and that gives you this kind of effect. As you can tell, when you exceed the threshold, the tremolo speeds up to whatever position you have put the shape knob in, and then quietly ramps down to the baseline speed of the rate control up here, and that is pretty cool. And so far we have been on the A position right here, which is a classic harmonic tremolo. Switching it to the B position, we go into a more vibe-like, univibe-like territory, and this is the sound. Oh, let me just turn this down because we don't want that effect now. And once again we have a speed and a width control right here. And on the final intensity control out here, putting it at the roughly 10 o'clock position gives you the most univibe-like sound. And just like when the pedal was in the A position with the classic harmonic tremolo, down here in the B position you also have these dynamic speed controls. So you can set it up to sound something like this. Alright, finally we have the store function right here in the middle. If you want to know how to use that store function, please check out my demo of the golden reverberator, which is another one in the new line of Universal Audio pedals. In that demo I show you precisely how to use the store function. Alright, the final thing I'm going to show you is that you can control a few things inside the pedal with the UAFX app on your phone. So, going into the app like this, see I have the Astra Modulation Machine and the golden reverberator, so I'm going to access the Astra, and then I get to this screen where I can choose between true bypass or buffered bypass like this, and down here I can determine what this right foot switch is going to do. Right now it is in preset and tap mode, and that means that it's basically in tap tempo mode. So if you want to access the preset, you hold down this pedal for a second and a half, and then it goes to the preset you have stored. If I do not want the tap function, I'm just going to set it in preset mode, and as you can see the flashing light went out, and now it is in preset mode, and it's going to access the stored preset immediately when you press the pedal. Going back to the preset and tap like this, and the red light starts flashing again, indicating that it is in preset and tap tempo mode. pretty cool feature. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much for watching my demo on the Astra Modulation Machine by Universal Audio. I think this is a great sounding modulation pedal, and it has all of those classic guitar modulations effects that you could possibly want. And they sound really, really, really good. I can't say enough good things about this pedal. Great. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and the like button, and I will see you soon in the next gear demo. Until then, stay cool.